Hi, I'm Lindsay and I'm going to show you what I do to stretch every day before rehearsal, etc. So you're going to start with a breath and then we're going to do a hamstring stretch. You're going to plie and straighten your legs 4 times. What to focus on here is that your knees are tracking directly over your ankles. They're not falling in or pushing out. They're parallel over your ankles, and then you're going to roll it up. And you can shake out your shoulders, just let your head relax, whatever you want. And then we're gonna do 2 shoulder rolls at the top. We're gonna repeat that 4 times. Each time you can get a little bit deeper, but we're gonna focus on dynamic stretching to start, which means that we're not gonna hold a position for a long time so that we can get our bodies properly warm as well as stretching. And repeat it again. Make sure that the head is relaxed while you're doing this, that there's no neck tension, and that's going to be a theme throughout this whole video. And one more time. Roll it down and plie and stretch. One more time and roll those shoulders out. Now we're going to do a vinyasa flow. I'm no yoga expert, but I do like to do this because it combines the dynamic stretching and then a little bit of core work too. So just stretch up, then bend over, and then do a half up, half down into a plank. Hold it there for a couple seconds. Lower yourself down into upward dog. In this position, you're going to make sure that your hips are on the ground and your shoulders are down. And then go into downward dog. Stay there for a couple seconds. I like to roll through my feet for this. Really feel your hips ascending. Do that like 6 times. And you can jump back or step back, whatever you want. And then arch back. Make sure to focus on the upper back for that part and don't put pressure in your lower back. I'm gonna repeat that again. Fold down all the way and then flat back to half up, half down. Sorry, my dog barked. And then into that plank. And then for this, make sure that your elbows are grazing your sides. In downward dog, you should think about your hips going up and your shoulders going down towards your low back. That helps with the stretch and is the correct form. And once again, just paddle back your feet. You can go at whatever speed you like. I like to do it pretty slow because then I feel more of a stretch in my hamstrings and down my leg. And walk it back, jump it back, whatever you want. Bring it up and arch it back. And we're gonna repeat it one more time. Stretch it down all the way, then bring it back up halfway and back down into plank. Lower it down and into upward dog. Make sure there's no pressure on the low back during this part and that your shoulders are not squished up towards your ears. Bring it into downward dog. Then sending the weight into each foot, making sure those hips stay as quiet as they possibly can. Do that 6 to 8 times, however slow or fast you want to do it. And roll it back up. So next we're going to focus once again on the hamstrings. We're going to keep dynamic stretching because we're not quite warm yet. And we're gonna take a breath once again and then stretch over to the side. Make sure your hips are stacked over one another. You should feel this in your side. Quick little transition to flat back. And then you're gonna, once again, focus on the upper back, not the lower back. And then bend half over. In this stretch, you're gonna make sure that your hips are again on top of each other. And then you're gonna plie and straighten on the left leg while you're over on the right leg. And again, track that knee over the ankle. It shouldn't fall in or push out. Do that 4 times and then go to the middle and stretch both legs. Once again, making sure those knees are on top of the ankles. To the other side, doing the same thing. It's really important to make sure that your hips are parallel to the front of the room. That way you get the best stretch for your hamstrings. And flat back and side stretch. And now you go the opposite way. So side stretch, making sure those hips are over the knees, flat back. And back stretch. I definitely fell out of that. It's been a while. It's okay. And then we're gonna plie again. 4 times each leg and in the middle. Another reminder to keep the head relaxed during all of this. You don't want any neck tension at all. Again, what to be focusing on here is that your knees track over your ankles. It's so important so that you don't have any knee injuries. It's just the safest way for your knees. And also, I'm not really focusing on stretching here. I'm just letting my body naturally do what it needs to do. Okay, now that we're a little more warm, I'm gonna get more into static stretching, which is where we're gonna hold it. You're gonna, once again, do the side stretch, go into flat back, and then stay on one side. You're gonna hold it this time rather than doing a plie. Then you're gonna pivot your hips to one side, making sure that they are parallel to the ground, and lower into a lunge. In a lunge, it's super important to send your hips to the ground and think about shooting energy through your heel. You can rock your body back and forth if you want, or just stay static, but I like to rock back and forth because it reminds me to send energy through my heel. And then back up to the position you were in before, where your hips are parallel to the ground. It's helpful if you have a mirror for this, because it's kind of hard to tell. Then we're going to transfer weight back and forward, bending the back leg and then straightening onto the front leg. Repeat that 3 or 4 times, whatever you like. And I like to flex my front foot during this while I have the weight back on my back leg. It's super important to make sure that your hips are parallel during this. I highly recommend having a mirror for this because I did it wrong for years. My dad is about to walk across the frame. I told him not to, but he didn't listen. I'm yelling at him. And just, keep doing it. And then back into that lunge. Some people like to put both hands down. I like to put one hand above my knee, whatever you desire. Then bring one arm up, stretching sideways. Focusing on sending that hip to the ground while keeping your legs super straight. And then switch arms. It's really good to focus on your core here as well. Good oblique strengthener. And then I'm gonna lower it down to your elbows. I'm not really doing it here, but try and send your hips down to the ground. You'll feel an extended stretch. Again, you can rock back and forth if you want, or just keep it static. There's my dad again. Then bring your knee down to the ground. And if you want, you can grab that foot with your opposite arm. And during this, make sure that your hip is, again, being sent to the ground. Now you're gonna straighten that front leg and flex the foot again. Make sure that the hip is over the knee, the back leg. And hold that for a bit. And then we're gonna pretzel around. This is a little confusing, but that back leg should be underneath the top leg. I'm gonna turn that to the front. So back leg under top leg. Both glutes should be on the ground. I'm gonna do a couple different ways to stretch this, but just make sure that you're twisting your back. And you can pick whichever way feels good. And now for my least favorite stretch ever. My hips are not flexible in this position for some reason, but I like to hold it for a little bit before I stretch over my legs. So just hold it here. You should feel it on the outside of your hip. It's really intense for me, so I cannot go very far. I have to take really deep breaths during this part just to remind myself to relax and not tense up, because that's what I want to do. Then we're gonna untangle ourselves. I made this a little confusing, but it's just because I switched around to the front. Just go back into a lunge in whatever way you please. And then we're gonna pivot our hips around to the front. This stretch is also hard for me. You're gonna try and send your hips down to the ground and keep your body upright. Again, focusing on that knee straight over the ankle, and then switch to the other side. Again, I like to put my elbow on my knee to keep it turned out. But if you're flexible enough, you don't even need hands. So do whatever is right for you. And then back into a lunge for a quick second. Get that last lunge stretch. You can rock back and forth if you want. Then back into the straight leg, making sure those hips are even. And legs together. Just have a moment to relax there. And roll up. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other leg. So a side stretch over. Then a flat back. Please excuse the background noise. And again, making sure those hips are even and not torqued one way or the other. Into that straight leg again, making sure the hips are parallel. Again, it's really good to have a mirror here so you can just double check and make sure that you're doing the right thing, making sure those hips are equal. They're doing the same exact thing. One's not bent up and the other one's bent down. You get the picture. Into that lunge, once again, sending energy through the heel and focusing on sending the hips to the ground, but it's really important that that knee is super straight. You can rock back and forth if you want, or keep it static. Same as on the other side. And straighten those legs. Again, hips. That's what's most important in this stretch, and making sure that your head is relaxed and you don't have neck tension. Now plie. Making sure that the knee is not turned out or in, and straighten that leg. This is where I feel the most intense stretch here, but the hips do have to be even in order to feel that right. Repeat that a couple times. And yeah, try and keep, when your weight is in your front leg, try and keep that knee as straight as possible. You're gonna want to bend it because it's a very intense stretch. But that's how you get the intense stretch. that lunge. And stretch the arm up. Feel it in the obliques. Again, sending that hip towards the ground with the straight leg. And opposite arm. And then down onto your elbows. If this doesn't feel good, you can stay up on your hands, whatever you feel is right for you. Then knee down, and you can twist around, grabbing your foot, or just stay here. It's just the level of intensity that you want. Again, making sure that your hips are not lifting up. I'm gonna show you not like this. That's wrong. That's right. And then back onto that leg. Again, making sure the knee is directly over the ankles. You don't want it one way or the other. And flex that foot for more stretch. And then the twist, I don't know what to call it, pretzel twist is what I call it formally. And again, I'm gonna just flip around so it's easier to see me. So you can grab that leg and pull it in, or you can twist the upper body more, making sure both glutes are on the ground. That's how to get the maximum stretch out of that one. And then my favorite stretch again. I'm gonna hold it for a while because I need it. Take big breaths here. Don't forget. And get back into that lunge real quick before sending the hips forward for the same stretch as before. Again, making sure that that knee is right over the ankle, and switch to the other side. And you can flex or point that foot, whatever feels best for you. Get back to the other side. And then back into that lunge for a second. And then straighten both legs. Hold it there for a little bit. And then bring both feet together. Again, just relaxing, reminding the neck to not be tense. And roll it up. Now we're going to be on the ground for the rest of the time, I think. We're going to start with a straddle. So stretch both arms up, and you're going to start with a scoop. Keep both glutes on the ground, that's super important, and think about stretching over the foot. The goal is not to the foot, it's over the foot. And then face your shoulders toward that leg. You should feel it in your side as well as your hip. Then bring it around to the middle. And I skipped the middle. I'll do that later. I'm going to do the opposite order on the other leg. So shoulders towards that foot. Again, you can flex or point or just relax your legs. Just try to make sure that your knees are pointing up to the sky. And then scoop it. On the other side, I straighten the bottom arm. It doesn't matter, whatever feels best for you. Again, focusing on extending that arm past the foot. The goal is not the foot. And then to the middle. What I like to do here is relax everything. I don't focus on flexing or pointing my feet. I don't think about turning out. I just like to relax everything. That gives me my maximum stretch. And you're just gonna hold it for a while, thinking about bringing that belly button to the ground. You should hold a stretch for about 20 seconds at the least. With a straddle in the middle, I hold it for a long time. That's just kind of what I was trained to do from dance. If it doesn't feel good for you, just do it for 20 or 30 seconds. I just like to hold it for a while. And roll it up. I like to shake out my hips because they are a little bit sore after that. Straighten the legs. You're gonna flex the feet and grab the feet. Try and keep your back as straight as you possibly can. Think about doing a flat back for this first stretch here while your feet are flexed. This, you'll feel an intense stretch all throughout your leg most likely. Think about keeping those knees straight. That is what is most important here. And then point those feet and let your body relax. No more flat back. Just basically try and touch your stomach to your thighs while keeping those knees super straight. Again, you can hold it for as long as you like. I like to hold this one for a bit longer. It's just what I've been taught. Roll it up. Now we're going to do a butterfly stretch. For this one, the goal is to get your knees to the ground. So we're going to focus on one side, push one knee down while holding the other one. You should not push one to the ground and the other one come flying up. I think I'm going to show a bad example in a second. So not like that. That's not what you want. You want both your knees to be even though you're putting pressure on one of them. If not, you can just hold it and not worry about pushing one knee down. And then again, we're going to flat back first. Before we relax the back and smell your feet, as I like to tell the little kids I teach. Again, hold that for about 20 seconds as long as it feels good for you. If you have someone stretching with you, you guys can go back and forth and press lower backs down. That really helps in this stretch. Again, try to relax those hips. And then roll it up. Now we're going to do splits. I like to go back into a lunge to start this off, to stretch that hip out before I go into my splits. So go back into a lunge, sending that hip down to the ground and then back. Again, flexing that front foot and drop into your split. If you need yoga blocks for this, or a chair or a ball, whatever, if you can't get down to the ground, just try and focus on keeping your hips parallel. Again, it's a theme. Keep those hips parallel and try and straighten your legs. If you can, bend over the front leg. Hold it for, 20 seconds to as long as you like. 20 seconds will do the trick. And then if you can do an arch stretch back. Again, putting the pressure on the upper back, not on the lower back. And then we're going to do it on the other side. So get into a lunge. And then stretch it back. Relaxing that head. And drop into your split. And then bend forward if you want. Stretch it back. Now for a middle split, I like to start in a straddle and rock it forward. For this, just make sure that your hips are aligned with your ankles. That's where you're getting the maximum stretch. I kind of ease into it, so I start off a little with my hips a little farther back, and then once I'm feeling ready, I bring my hips equal to my ankles. Again, hold it for as long as you need. I needed that little extra arm support, so I changed my arm position. This one is a hard one for me, once again. Okay, we are almost done. Again, you can shake those legs out a little bit. And last but not least, I like to stand up and end my stretch with one last hamstring stretch. Again, focusing on getting the tension out of my neck. You can hug your arms, or you can hug your legs, or you can just let your arms relax there. I shake my head yes and no to make sure that the tension is all gone. And then I roll it up. And I'm ready to dance. And that's that. Thanks for joining.